Hello. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Everybody see me and hear me? Another, I guess, late-ish stream. It looks late for me. Probably late for a lot of other people as well. But yeah, I woke up kind of late. I like the red hood look you got going. I don't know what that means. What's up, Julia? What's up, Yassine? What's up, Chris? What's up, Nicole? What's up, Wool Lady? Wool Lady? Never been to one of your streams before. What do you do on them? I don't know. It kind of depends. Sometimes there's like a plan. Today, I think we're just gonna be chatting and just seeing whatever comes up. I don't really have a specific plan, but we will see. But sometimes there is a plan. Like sometimes I do painting. I like paint miniatures, other kinds of crafts. Sometimes I play games. And I want to do more stuff in general. I want more ideas. As you can see, I have a goal at the bottom of the screen for a cooking stream. I'd like to get a cooking stream together, but I just figured I'd provide an incentive. So more people that become homies or members. Once we get to 50, then we can do a cooking stream, and it'll actually give me time to like think about the logistics of how I'm even going to do that. Well, what I've done is painting little miniatures because I play D&D, so I was just like painting the miniatures. But you know, I'm trying to get back. I've never been very good at painting, but I've talked about how I used to draw a lot, and I've wanted to get back into it. So that's another thing that I could do on the stream. Thanks for your thoughtful videos. I just found your channel today and really into it. I appreciate that. Thanks. Cheers from Brazil. Cheers. Do I think it's necessary for TikTok to get banned? You mean like the whole platform? No. Boom, boom. I'm a culinary whiz. I wouldn't say I'm a culinary whiz. I just like to cook. I wouldn't even say I'm like good at it really. I just like doing it, and I'm learning things as I go. Cooking's just kind of one of those things where you just have to, well, honestly, most things you just have to keep doing it, and you just get better as you keep doing it. But especially cooking, like you can like study and research cooking as much as you want, but if you don't actually do it, you will just never get better. Got any 40K? No, I've never played any Warhammer or anything like that. I've pretty much only played D&D and a little bit of Call of Cthulhu. How bad or even good do you think Trump was? I have almost nothing good to say about Trump. Just want to say I think your videos are great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have not seen Narcos Mexico. I don't really watch a lot of shows. It's kind of random when I actually get to watch something. I watch a shit ton of YouTube, but that's about it. Hope the fire giant you were painting the other day turned out great. It did come out pretty good in my opinion. I make some mean scrambled eggs. You know, a lot of people say that scrambled eggs is like one of the hardest things to make correctly. Like you can make, you know, anybody can make scrambled eggs, but making it like really good is kind of hard because eggs are so, you know, like if you cook them like literally like 3 seconds too long, like it might not be ideal. Knowing the basics of cooking is better than most people. I hesitate to say that I know the basics of cooking, but I know the basics of cooking certain things, I guess. Do you think living a simple life is healthy? I guess it can be. I don't know what you mean by a simple life. I think people might have different ideas of what that means. Can I tell you about my current D&D campaigns? Well, I currently run a game. I'm pretty lucky. I have like a pretty solid group. We've been playing together for almost 2 years now. Maybe like a year and a half. And we've been playing pretty steadily, like every week for about 2 years. And it's my understanding that it's rare to have a group that's that consistent, so I'm pretty lucky in that sense. But I'm doing basically a heavily modified version of a pre-written Wizards of the Coast D&D campaign called Storm King's Thunder. Anybody who knows about D&D may have heard of that, but I've heavily modified it. So, but the main idea of it is there's giants that are like rampaging around the continent, and the players have to figure out how to deal with that. That's kind of like the main idea of it. My roommate started cooking like 2 months ago and is now pretty good. Yeah, well, the thing about cooking is, you know, food is good. So even if you're not perfect at it, it's still probably pretty good, especially depending on what it is. Like the only way to make food like not eatable is if you just like literally burn it to the point where it's just not good. But I think the main thing is a lot of people just aren't that adventurous in the kitchen. They don't try things, or they sort of get used to doing something one way, but they're you know, they don't try different things. And you can like really like vastly improve things with like pretty simple steps sometimes. With cooking, you gotta either be cool with wasting ingredients or start super simple while you're learning. I guess, well, like I said, usually, I mean, I guess it depends on how picky you are about what you eat, but usually, like, you still get to eat whatever you make, even if you didn't like totally succeed at it. I'm afraid of the oven, but to cook, I'll get over it. Yeah, I mean, I have not tried much like baking, or at least not like um outside of like baking chicken and roasting vegetables. I haven't tried like baking cakes and stuff like that. That seems like, I think it's really easy to mess things up in that case. But like stovetop cooking, that's kind of what I've mostly been doing. But I've done a few. I've baked a little, like I'll bake some mac and cheese casserole or some like stuff of like that nature. I have not been watching the Marble League. I know that like marbles is like really big now since quarantine. One of my favorite YouTube channels. Um I don't know, my favorite YouTube channels kind of it just changes as days go on. But I will always say that probably my favorite YouTube channel of all time historically is Vlogbrothers, and I just kind of always say that that's my favorite. But there's a bunch that I love, like ContraPoints and Lindsay Ellis and Captain Disillusion. I was a big fan of Jenna Marbles before she dipped out. A lot of the channels that I watch are like very like niche things. So like I've been watching a lot of chess videos because I'm like super into chess. And there's some really great chess YouTubers like Jim Hikaru and Eric Rosen and Agadmator and Gotham Chess and stuff like that. But yeah, it just kind of changes. Recommendations for YouTube channels that discuss ideas. I love BreadTube, but would like to diversify my media diet a bit. Was super excited when I found your channel. Thank you. That discuss ideas. That's pretty vague. Do you mean like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you mean channels similar to mine, you could try ContraPoints or Philosophy Tube. Cat Black. You can try Magdalene Rose is a smaller YouTuber that I think is underrated. Hey dude, love your vids. Keep up the fantastic work. I appreciate that. I went on a run of baking chocolate chip cookies a while back, testing different levels. Yeah, and even with certain things like cookies are usually not that intimidating because they're usually good as long as you don't just completely burn them. Like, I guess it's possible for them to be bad, like if you just like don't put any sugar in them or something like that. But what's the most powerful threat in D&D? Yeah, I guess the Tarask is it's definitely like the strongest monster in most like standard books that have been written by D&D. But there are, in specific campaigns or in stuff that other people have made up, you can make more powerful things. But yeah, a Tarask like it's even it's a challenge for even like the highest level characters. But yeah, there are like demigods and gods that I guess are a challenge. But usually when you're talking about gods, like I would say generally gods are like unkillable. Like you have like if you want to kill a god in D&D, I feel like you have to either yourself be a god or you need to find some kind of massive loophole that makes the god vulnerable. But some people don't use that rule. Some people are like, hey, if these mortals get strong enough, then they can kill a god. I already watched all of those. Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like you're probably already on the right track. I don't watch a lot of politics YouTubers. And there are a lot of other people who are like essayists, but I don't know if they're that similar to me. And there are a lot of like leftist YouTubers who talk about like leftist politics and like economic theory and stuff, but I didn't know if that's what you wanted because that's not really what I do. It's not really similar to what I do. But we're often like classified together because it's like both vaguely left wing, I guess. Have you ever tried making a souffle pancake? Nope. Oh yeah, I wanted to check this out. Hold on. I've actually been working on trying to increase the quality and like the production quality of my streams. Oh yeah, I wanted to check this out. Hold on. I guess it work a bit better. I also have to. I have to. Wait, why is it shaking? I have to. Sorry, I was just looking at my stream. I need to get like a tripod for my camera because it like shakes whenever I like move. You know, that's not ideal. That doesn't look good. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm just using like what equipment? I have a camera. What do you mean besides that? I have a Canon T3i, which is a pretty old camera, but you know, it's still standard like sensor size and stuff. I need a better lens, I think. I would like to get maybe a wider angle lens. And I also added some lights in the background for those that have seen the earlier streams. Gives it a little bit of a mood. And just makes the background more interesting. In D&D, you go by levels. Yes, the characters level up after, you know, they gain enough experience or after they complete certain milestones. How are you today? Really? I'm pretty good. Wait, for some reason why is this happening? Is it because of the thing? The camera's kind of jumping around. This is weird. I wonder if my ceiling fan is like shaking my room. Well, I do shake my legs sometimes, but I wasn't in that moment. I think that my ceiling fan is shaking my room. I just got a ceiling fan installed recently, so I'm not exactly used to it. But it does, like, it spins pretty fervently sometimes. But anyway, I'm doing pretty well. I've been, well, first of all, I was like really busy for like a good 3 weeks or so, and I just kind of just recently got done with most of the work that I was doing. I was basically like working on 2 videos at once, like, and you may have noticed I put out 2 videos within a week of each other. I usually wouldn't do that, but that's just kind of how the schedule turned out. And then sort of after that, I kind of took a break. And well, I guess I'm still taking a break. That's kind of how I do. I've kind of work on my videos like most of the month, and then I just like take a break for the last week or so of the month. All right, it's shaking again. I'm definitely not moving. I don't know if it's the actual movement of the camera or if it's like something going on with the feed. There's always something. I've been like working on this stream, trying to make it look fine. And then there's just always something. But yeah, and then I don't know, like I've been my sleep schedule has been kind of weird. Like I'm getting a lot of sleep. I just sleep at weird hours. So sometimes it takes me a little while to like get my energy back because I've been asleep all day. But yeah, I don't know. My D&D character can use banishment and just send any god back to their own plane. Well, even if you're going by combat rules, pretty much any god would have legendary resistances, which means that it can just basically it just means that spells don't work on them a lot of the time. Do you recommend any channels for centric right-wing conservative to try and get some conflicting views, make sure we are not just hearing one side? I don't think I don't think I watch any conservative channels. And the ones that I'm familiar with, I would never recommend. But I think that's just kind of a natural inclination I have against conservatism, because I don't think conservatism is reasonable. Like I think it's like inherently unreasonable. Centrists, I mean, Philip DeFranco, I guess. What's that one guy's name? Oh yeah, knowing better. I don't know if he is himself a centrist, but he makes a lot of videos that are aimed at centrists slash moderates. So you can try knowing better. I use Canon. Pretty much a Canon fanboy. But that's not really because I've experimented enough. I don't have enough money to try out a bunch of different cameras, but Canon just has a lot of like integrations and things that work together. It's convenient. Shasta Lightfoot, thank you for the $20 super sticker. That's another thing people don't know you can do. You can do super stickers instead of super chat. Would you ever consider doing a makeup stream? I love watching cis boys experiment with makeup. I don't know if I would do a makeup stream. I'm interested in figuring out how to do like film makeup, or just to make my face look better on camera, or like, I don't know what you call it, studio makeup, TV makeup. I'm interested in learning how to do that. Maybe I could do a stream about that. I'm not super interested in like putting makeup on just to do it, or just to like look pretty, because I like my face. I think my face is dope. But a lot of times when you're on camera, I feel like the camera can highlight like things you don't necessarily want highlighted. Also, when you've got lights on you, you sweat a lot, and sometimes makeup can hide that. So I'm interested in that. And sorry, I'm behind here. I'm just kind of trying to go back through questions that I missed. Does the camera have image stabilization? Maybe turn it off. It's I'm pretty sure it's off, but yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't even know if it has it. Like, maybe it does. It probably does, but I don't know. I'll check it after the stream. You have thoughts on ranked choice voting? I know that is an idea that's been picking up steam. It seems entirely superior to what we have, to sort of the winner takes all, first past the post, as everyone knows now. Yeah, it's obviously better because sort of the winner takes all mentality is what results in there being two dominant parties. And it's what results in the sort of lesser of two evils narrative. So I think ranked choice voting would result in possibly more suitable candidates actually having a chance at winning. Knowing Better has been accused of animal cruelty. Oh, I don't know anything about that. JJ McCullough is a decent YouTuber who leans center. He has a certain level of dismissiveness to just about anyone. Well, I mean, y'all can check that out. I generally, doesn't sound like it's for me. I don't really like dismissiveness, but stage makeup, that sounds right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the case that people who do makeup videos dislike their face. But I feel like the idea of wearing makeup is either as like a costume, and maybe like if I were to do it as a costume, I could think about that, but I just don't have any skill. Like, I can get someone else to do it maybe. Or if you're trying to improve your face, to make your face look better, which I guess is possible, but I don't really feel the need to do that. Thank you for your videos. They're very informative and help me understand complex things. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kev on Stage is a podcast about current events, not super political, but he's Christian and tries to be open-minded. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know he did that. I've seen some of Kev on Stage videos. If the previous question about conservative channels was looking for conservative channels to follow, I recommend the Lawfare podcast. They have a range of centrist folk who are at least honest. All right, well, there's another recommendation. I mean, there may be some people that I'm just unfamiliar with, but I definitely don't seek out conservative channels because, like I said, I just don't think conservatism is like a legitimate ideology. Like I guess it sounds dismissive, but I mean, I just mean it from a very like rational, moral standpoint. It just, everything I know about conservatives kind of completely like on a fundamental level, it like goes against everything that I kind of value and believe about the world. Like I think there's certain things that like you can disagree on and it's interesting, but then there are things that are like just wrong, like factually wrong, and there are things that in my opinion are just like morally wrong, and I feel like conservatism runs the gamut on both of those things. Would you do a Heath Ledger Joker makeup tutorial? Unlikely. I think I'm a few years too late for that. What is something people might not know about you? Um, what is something people might not know about me? I don't know, I was just trying to think of something that that's interesting. When I was something that people may not know about me is that I used to be really good at math, and I used to win a bunch of math tournaments when I was younger, like fifth grade, particularly in fifth grade, I won a math tournament, and then in 10th grade, I won a math tournament. But then I like stopped really caring. And then I went to college and I took one semester of math, and then I never took math ever again. And I still think that math is interesting, but I wouldn't say that I'm like good at it anymore. And it was like it sort of like came really easily to me. I think once I got into calculus, that's when it like got hard. It's possible that I just didn't have great teachers, but like early high school, middle school, and elementary school, it was just like really easy to me, and it was kind of bizarre to me that I seemed to be so much better at it than everyone else because it didn't seem that hard to me. But then as I got into more advanced math, it started to actually get hard. And then as I got older, I became more of kind of like a slacker in like school. I mean, I never really liked school. Like school was always annoying and a bummer to me. And then especially when I got to college, I was just completely over it by then. Um, I went to the University of Alabama, but I didn't finish. But I went there for like 4 or 5 years. Um, do I follow any mathematical channels? Well, I'm subscribed to Numberphile and Stand Up Maths and Minute Physics. I guess if that counts, I guess that's physics is kind of math. But I wouldn't say that I just like I religiously watch their videos. I just kind of click on stuff if it seems interesting to me. But yeah, those are all really great channels. What I majored in college? Well, as I sort of implied, I was a little bit aimless once I got to college. So I switched my major 3 times, 4 times. I started out as an art major because I always like to draw and I always like being creative. Um, it's kind of why I've pursued a creative career such as the one I have. But I originally was an art major, but once I started taking classes and once it became like, work, it just kind of really killed my desire for it. So then I was very briefly a film major, and it was actually cool, but it was just like not a great time for me to really make decisions about anything. It was also pretty expensive. Like we had to buy a lot of equipment and stuff for our film classes. Like we had to buy these expensive hard drives and cameras and stuff. And I didn't really have the money for all that. And that's like on top of all the books we had to buy. Then I was a philosophy major, and this was like kind of the first thing that I actually like enjoyed. And it didn't come with any like expensive equipment. Even the books weren't that expensive, so it was kind of a decent thing to do. I'm not sure why I switched from that. Actually, I think what happened is I was a philosophy major, and I was learning things, and I thought it was cool. And then I, just as sort of, I think I needed like an English credit or something, and I took a creative writing class, and I just absolutely fell in love with creative writing. Like that, like I immediately was like, actually, I want to do this. I want to write. And then so eventually I switched to being an English major. And that was the last thing I did before I dropped out. And I would say like the main reason that I dropped out is I just needed to start working. Like I was on my own and I had no money, so I just needed to work, and I just didn't really have time for school. But also I just really overall didn't like school. Even though like I loved my creative writing classes, I hated all the other ones, and I just didn't like it. This wasn't for me at the time. I don't even think I would like it now. Like I'm much more enthusiastic about learning things than I used to be, but I still don't think that I could do it in the academic setting. Like the way the school settings work is just like, it doesn't work for me in my brain. It's hard for me to focus on shit like that. I have to sort of like work at my own pace, and I don't like the way that I don't know, like you're expected. It's like, okay, we're gonna make you do all this like essentially busy homework. Like I understand the point of homework is to make you practice the things that you're learning and make sure that you learn them. But some classes are like, okay, we're gonna give you a homework assignment every day, and you have to do all of them, and it's like 30 to 50% of your grade. Just this shitty, boring ass homework is like a good chunk of your grade. And it's like, well, what if I like prove that I know the stuff on the exam? Shouldn't that be all that matters? I don't feel like doing all this fucking homework. So it's just a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, but English was the last thing that I did. And I don't necessarily regret going to college, even though I didn't finish, because I think like 80% of the point of going to college is to introduce people to the idea of living around like a diverse group of peers, basically. And it kind of teaches you that there are lots of different types of people in the world, and it like gets you prepared for that. And I think that's one of the benefits of going to college. I don't know if, at least in America, it is very expensive to go to college, and I don't know if it's worth it just for that. It may be worth it if you are going into certain fields, into certain degrees, but overall, I can't imagine that college is worth it. Like, it's way too expensive. Like, almost everyone I know is in debt because of student loans. Like, there's no way that that's worth it. But you know, maybe it works for you. But learning stuff is good. And if I said I didn't learn anything in college, that would be a huge lie. I learned a lot of shit in college, and I discovered my love for creative writing in college. That wouldn't have happened otherwise, I don't think. I mean, it definitely would have happened otherwise. And the writing that, like, learning how to write and express ideas in college in a more interesting way, I use now in my job as making content. So it helped in that way. So it wasn't like 100% fail, you know. So I've been studying for the UK citizenship test. I'm 36 and forgot how hard memorizing for a test was. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could do it now. Maybe I could do it now. It just kind of depends on my interest levels. And this is something that's always been an issue for me. And I don't know if it's just because my brain works a different way, or maybe I just need to be better. But it's really hard for me to focus on or care about something if it's not interesting to me. And this is one of the reasons why it's always been hard for me to keep a like traditional job, because after a while I will just really stop caring, and it's like, and I just will not perform at a decent level because I just don't care. And it seems, you know, that sounds kind of bratty, it sounds kind of shitty. It's just like, just do your job. But it's like, I don't know if I'm like physically capable of doing it. I don't think I can. So luckily I found a way to find a career that where if I do care about it, and I'm motivated by it, but also I can work at my own pace. Like, if I just can't focus in the moment, or it's like I just can't do this right now, I can just take a break. Like, I see, that's like kind of the problem with most jobs, is you can't just be like, I just can't do this today. Like, I need to take a break. I need to take a day off. Sometimes you can take a day off, but you like get penalized for it. Like, either maybe you don't get paid, or you have to like use up a sick day, or, you know, shit like that. But I don't know, maybe I'm just a brat, but I've found something that works for me, and I'm very fortunate. Can definitely see the philosophical bent. Bring back talking to the camera for your videos, please. I talked to the camera in my latest video. Everyone is like, I've made like 2 videos recently. I say over the last like 4 months or something. Well, yeah, about 4 months maybe. I've made 2 videos where I don't show my face, and I've gotten like 2 out of like, I don't know, like 7 or something. And I've gotten all these comments. They're like, oh, why did you stop putting your face in the videos? Please bring it back. It's like, bruh, it's okay. I just did it. I'm just gonna just do it sometimes. Shout out to all the art majors not working in their field and straddled in debt. Yeah, I mean, you could say that about a lot of people, a lot of majors. I'd rather be able to learn hands-on, like how you could be mentored by someone who has the same interests. Yeah, I mean, mentorship I think is important. But I also think that different people learn in different ways. Like, I like course structure. Like, don't get me wrong, I like having a lesson plan like that, having that sort of organized in my mind. I like that. So like, when I try to learn something today, I still look for like courses and things that are structured. Like I said earlier, like I like chess. I'm trying to learn how to get better at chess. So I look for like chess instruction that's like layered and structured. It's like, okay, first we're gonna talk about this, then we're gonna talk about this. Like that makes sense to me. But I just need to be able to take a break from it if I need to. And I also I don't think I like being graded. Maybe that's part of the problem too. Like I feel like it hinders my learning when I'm struggling to achieve some grade. But I guess you have to, at least in college, you have to somehow prove that you know the material. So I guess that's the point of grading, but learning for, I like to learn for my own benefit and gain more than learning in order to grab a degree in order to get a job or something like that. Like that's a little harder. Should media be free? I guess it just depends. I think the people, I don't know, I don't know. I think that whoever makes the media gets to decide whether it's free or not. I think that it's good to give away media for free, but I don't know if it should be free. What will you do if your wife was a notorious drug lord? Well, I don't have a wife, and I think it would be hard to. I don't think I would marry someone if they were a drug lord. That just seems like pretty dangerous. Unless they found some way to hide it, which it would be really hard to hide that, I think. Yeah, I could do a drawing stream. I'd have to figure out how to set that up exactly, though. I don't really have the setup for that, but I could probably figure out a way to make it work. And also, I mean, I'm not like super amazing at drawing, but you know, I could do something. Growing up, I mainly just drew like cartoons and comics and stuff like that. I one career that I think, and I actually think I probably would have liked it, but I always wanted to be like a comic strip artist. And I actually was I was getting ready to put together like, I guess like a portfolio or whatever you call it, and like send off my portfolio to like the newspapers and stuff to see if they would like publish my comic strips. I mean, it was pretty ambitious. I doubt it would have worked, but I was actually working on it. But you know, I think that it's unlikely that they're printing things in newspapers anymore. But of course, there's the internet and webcomics and stuff, and that's something that I actually could have gotten into, to be honest. But I just found YouTube. My mom thinks it's something about being a POC and having to jump through all the hoops that go with that makes it harder to jump through the hoops school demands, like enough is enough kind of thing. I mean, that could be a part of it. I think that I mean, it's a complicated issue. I think that's probably a part of it. But, you know, for example, like black women are among, if not the most college educated Americans these days. So there is a like growing desire to become educated and get get school over with. Seems like the consumer decides just as much. Well, yeah, ultimately the consumer decides. But I mean, like initially, like if you, like for example, news media, like, you know, if I go to like the Guardian, pretty sure the Guardian is free, right? So I read the Guardian sometimes. Guardian's free. You can just go to the website and look at stuff. They ask you to support them, but you can look at it for free. However, if you go to Washington Post, it's not free. It's not free anymore. I don't think. Or I think they give you like, it's one of those sites that give you a certain number of free visits before they make you get a subscription. Now, obviously, there are ways to circumvent that. You can get around it if you know how to do it. But as a result, I almost never read the Washington Post anymore because there are so many free alternatives that are essentially just as good. There are a few things that Washington Post has that are cool. Hold on. Well, I'm just giving you an example of news, but I mean this can apply to any media. Washington Post, for example, they have this thing where they track police killings, and I don't think anyone else is doing that. So that's something that may be valuable enough to people to pay for it. But I'm just saying, as a result, I don't really read Washington Post anymore. So as a consumer, I've decided that I can get that value in other places. And I think that can apply to anything. That can apply to YouTubers. That can apply to music. That can apply to movies. Like I really like Gary Vee. If you know Gary Vee, he's like this businessman. He makes content about like business and motivation and personal development and things like that. And for the most part, all of his content is free. Like all of it is free. To be fair, he's like super rich and he doesn't really need to make money off of it. But if you know, I think just by the name, whenever you hear about self-help, personal development, things like that, you can probably imagine that a lot of these people are trying to get you to give them money, right? They're trying to sell you books. They're trying to sell you seminars, things like that. And for some people, maybe that's worth it. But I'm saying there's two different things, two different models. They both decided what works for them. And then the consumers, the market, the customers, whatever you want to call it, they will decide what they value and what works and what doesn't work. Like I remember a while ago that you remember what was that dude's name that bought all the ads on YouTube? who had the Lamborghini? Ty Lopez. Yeah. Everyone was memeing on this guy because he was all over YouTube and he seemed kind of corny. But as far as I can tell, he made a lot of money from that. So people still bought it. Did I ever see Static Shock? Yeah, I used to love that. I'm all for more career colleges being part of high school. I make nothing with my fancy, expensive degree. I make very good living with my 6-month certificate. Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on the person. I always bring up the example of my roommate in college who's still like my best friend basically. He was my roommate in college. I was an art major, he was an engineering major. And I remember, you know, like I said, I was a slacker in college. I like barely did anything. I couldn't focus, but this dude was super focused. He he went to all his classes. He was always working, always doing homework, always getting everything done. And I remember like there's this one time where he got the flu. He was like miserable, but he still got up and went to classes for the week that he had the flu. And to be fair, like you probably shouldn't do that because you'll risking infecting people. But just the idea that he was exhausted and sick and miserable and he still went to all his classes and still did all his work. Like I 100% wouldn't do that. And after he finished school, he immediately he had a job offer right out of school. He immediately got a job, got a great job. Eventually he leveraged that job to get an even better job, and now he's doing well. The man, I mean, he is like, he's chilling. He still works. He still works hard. Like I think it's just in his nature to just work, but he's chilling. He's living the life that he has always wanted to live because he put in the work for it. So it works for some people. The whole, college thing, it works for some people. And he loves his job too. It's not like he's doing some shitty job that he doesn't like. Now, obviously there's stresses, and I think he like works too much, but that's his decision, I guess. But overall, he's built a life for himself. I think the indigenous community in general views the education system differently because of residential schools. Yeah, I don't know that much about the indigenous community and like how that works with school and stuff. I'm in favor of capitalism. I can't remember if you specifically talked about that despite watching your channel for years. Well, I don't really talk about economic theory on my channel that much. So it's often interesting to hear people's hot takes on my views, because a lot of people have opinions on my views on that sort of thing, even though I don't talk about it that much. I've talked about it on stream, I guess, but I hesitate to respond to like general questions because there's a lot of baggage and there's a lot of assumptions people make when you say something. So I much prefer more specific questions about very specific ideas and policies. But the idea, if the question is, do I think that the means of production should be privately owned, and then the answer is, yeah, I think that's fine. So, from that, you could say that I'm not a capitalist. But that's a very specific question, and I don't think that's what people usually only mean when they say capitalism. There's a lot of other baggage that people associate with capitalism. Sometimes things that I don't think are unique to capitalism or that are necessary within capitalism. So that's why I prefer specific questions. What do I think about California? California's fine. I don't know that much about it, I guess, but I visited LA a couple times and I thought it was cool. The weather seems nice. I'm happy to talk about anything. I'm not avoiding topics, but the problem is people seem to like be unwilling to ask specific questions. They always want to ask very broad questions like, what do you think about capitalism? What do you think about socialism? It's like, well, that's too broad of a question. What do you think of wealth / earning caps? I guess I would have to know more about how that's going to be implemented. I think that um, in any sort of just economic society, there's going to be some kind of natural earnings cap, but I don't know if it needs to be an arbitrary cap. But maybe someone could explain how that works. But there's obviously going to be a level beyond which someone can't earn just sort of naturally, if a society is actually set up to be just. I don't know. Like I said, I'm happy to talk about anything. I'm just saying if the questions are too broad, I'm just going to point that out. Like the top, yeah, you would text. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but like, if for example, if you just did that now, that wouldn't really do anything. Like, it would just give the government more money, and the government would spend that money however the fuck they want it, and this government would spend it probably badly. So if you're doing it like just to punish rich people but not actually using that money for anything, then I don't really see what the point of that is. Do I think it's fair for CEOs to earn 287 times more than the average worker? I don't think it's fair for CEOs to make that much money while average people are struggling. If average people aren't struggling, then I don't care. But it's like I said, in a world that is just, which naturally means that people have their needs met, it seems unlikely that someone can actually make that much money. I don't know how it would be possible to do that. I feel like in favor of capitalism is too broad, the wrong framing. I agree. You can be very against capitalism as it exists, but not against using regulated markets to organize some parts of society. Yeah. Do you think you would be an unstoppable villain if in the DC or MCU? Do I think I would be an unstoppable villain? No, I would be a terrible villain. From a purely pragmatic standpoint, we should limit the wealth of the rich so that they don't become too powerful. I think that's possibly true. But that's not really. I don't think that's the first concern. I think the first concern is providing for the basic needs of human beings, and then once that's taken care of, then we can focus on the other stuff. But again, by doing that, that naturally limits people's wealth because that money has to come from somewhere. So you might be knocking out two birds with one stone. Like, if it was possible for people to have all of their needs met and not struggle and not die because they can't afford healthcare or food and things like that, and also there be billionaires, I would be totally fine with that. But I'm just not sure that's possible. Like, I think a lot of people just inherently oppose income inequality in general, like regardless of the situation. And I definitely am not that. It doesn't really matter to me if some people have more than other people. Especially if having more than other people is a result of your own work and your own ideas. In fact, I prefer that. I think the person that does more, or that contributes more, or that was the smartest or had the best idea, I think it's okay for that person to be rewarded more, but not at the expense of other people's well-being and safety and health and life. So it sounds like you basically want to first make sure everyone's needs are met, then after that maybe you don't care too much. No, I specifically like competitive markets. I mean, I think that's my preference. But for one, not everything should be a market, like healthcare, for example. Pretty much all basic needs should not be market based at the basic level. But overall, I like competitive markets, and I like private ownership. I don't think that everything needs to be organized that way, but I like it. I like merit-based rewards. So I feel like sort of like the most basic theoretical version of capitalism provides that sort of thing. I also don't know how, I mean, people can explain it. I'm sure people have answers, but I don't know how other types of governments really deal with sort of like tyranny of the majority, bigotry, things of that nature. It seems like a lot of alternative propositions sort of assume that people are going to be happier and nicer to each other, but I don't know where that comes from. And so, like, within a sort of democratic capitalist system, you sort of enable a government to essentially force people to be fair to each other by punishment, by threat of punishment by the law. But I feel like I'm not sure how you deal with that if you don't have that. Has anyone ever tried to hack any of your social media accounts? Yeah. I mean, nothing like specific though. I've had like the same kind of like advertising bots hack my shit like everybody else. But n- yeah. Um I missed what you were referring to when you said that's not how it works under capitalism. whole statement was confusing to me. I don't think capitalism does effectively punish bigotry, and I don't think that can realistically be tied to economics. Well, like, for example, if you have a job, if you have like a worker owned job that and all of its decisions are made democratically, I don't know how you prevent, for example, all of the white people at that job to democratically take over and just be shitty to all of the non-white people who work at the job. Specifically under a more capitalist system, it's just like you just can't do that. It's not possible because it's against the law and you'll be punished. I mean, I guess you could possibly do that under a worker-owned system, but that seems to go against the point of having a democratic system. If there's some rule of law that overrides the democratically approved choice, then that doesn't seem to be a truly worker-owned system. Yes, and this is another thing. People always talk about what's happening right now. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about this theoretical model of capitalism that I like. I hate the system that we have now. And this, I think people do this a lot, where they sort of switch back and forth between talking abstractly and specifically. I am never talking about our current system, especially the one we have in America. It's bad. You will never get me to say that the system we have now is good. And I think that a lot of people's opposition to capitalism, that's one of the reasons why I resist when people say capitalism without explaining what they mean, because a lot of times what they mean is the system of capitalism that we have in this country today, right now. It's like, well, that's not capitalism. That's some weird American oligarchical proto, like, I don't, you know, it has capitalist elements, but it's not capitalism. In fact, I think a lot of the things that happen in America, at least, are very specifically anti-capitalism. Like, I was just talking with some friends about how it sucks that I don't have any choices on what internet service I can get. Literally, the only choices I have for internet are Spectrum and AT&T. I don't have any other choices. That's not capitalism. That's not capitalist. Anti-competition is literally the opposite of capitalism. It's literally, definitionally, the opposite of how capitalism is supposed to work. So it's weird when people use things like that as an example of capitalism, because it's not. Well, I could. There's really not enough time to just describe the entire system, but that's like there are. I don't know. You just have to ask specific questions. Yeah, Greg. That's like one of the easiest examples because it's so obvious. But I don't know. It's weird having these conversations because people sort of just like I guess it's begging the question, or I can't remember. Like, for example, if you define the thing that you like as definitionally good, then we can't really have a conversation, because if I say a bad thing, you can just say, well, that's not what I'm talking about, because it's not good, because baked into the definition of what I'm saying is that it's good. So if you say anything bad, then that's not it. And Vice versa, if you bake into the definition of something that it is definitionally bad, we could never have a conversation, because if I argue that this part of it is good, you would say, well, no, that's not it, because the definition of it is that it's bad. I forgot what the name of that logical fallacy. I think it's begging the question or something to that nature. And also there's different types of each system. You know, each system can work in many different ways. In fact, there's probably an infinite number of ways that each system could work. It doesn't make sense for something to be defined one way, but the further it gets away from that definition, it becomes more of what it is. That makes no sense. Capitalism is like very fundamentally about competition. So things that steer things away from competition are anti-capitalist. I just found your channel today. I'm really enjoying your vids. Keep it up. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thoughts on Nick Cannon and the racist crap he said? Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty dumb. It just reminds me a lot of sort of that like black separatist talk that a lot of people say that shit all the time. He just happens to be like a famous person, like one of the more famous people, but yeah, like I was saying before, in a lot of those black separatists, black nationalists, you know, black Israelite, black Muslim circles, there's a lot of anti-Semitism for sure. That just sounds like an oxymoron. Competition naturally trends towards monopoly. It makes no sense. Like if I mean if the playing ground is fair, then monopolies can't happen. Monopolies only happen when you cheat and are underhanded, or if you like make deals that screw everyone else over. But if the playing field is fair, monopolies just can't happen. Obviously, someone can win. Someone can have the most customers. Someone can have more customers than someone else, but that doesn't mean they have a monopoly. Can it be? I mean, undoing a monopoly would require probably. I mean, it depends. It depends on how the monopoly was achieved. Well, first of all, there's going to be less money to go around to begin with in any kind of just society. So it's probably going to be unlikely for someone to have so much money that that these kinds of things even arise. But at any time any company has ever gotten close to becoming a monopoly, it's because they did something sketchy. It's because they made some kind of underhanded deal to screw people over. It's because they did illegal shit. It's because, like, it's never above board. That's the only way monopolies occur. No, there's never been a company that became a monopoly strictly through competition. That has never happened. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of, like, there's always some above board shit or like underhanded shit. Capitalism does incentivize these behaviors. That's why there has to be a lot of checks, a lot of regulation, a shit ton of regulation. And this is what I'm talking about. People think that these incentives go away in other systems, and I don't. That's the part I don't get. They think people will not be greedy. People will not be selfish. People will not try to profit off of other people. People will not be bigoted. I don't know how that gets to be assumed for other systems. Yeah, I mean, we've allowed monopolies and near monopolies to occur. And again, this is where we need to differentiate between talking abstractly or talking about what's happening right now. I agree that what's happening right now is bad, but I don't agree that it had to have happened. What happened is we allowed all of these companies to operate in this weird unregulated vacuum where they kind of do whatever they want with no oversight. And I don't have the answer for every single issue. Like, it's possible that some things should not be a market. I think you can make that argument for a lot of things, even outside of things that are like, required to stay alive. But if there's more oversight and more regulation, this kind of stuff, and also if there's less money to throw around, which there would be if we were taking care of everyone, then these things wouldn't happen in the way that they did happen. Yeah, I don't think any system is perfect. But yeah, I struggle to see why other systems somehow, like, I just don't know the part where people like magically stop being shitty in other systems. I don't get what bridge you have to cross to get there. Yeah, I want to know what those safeguards are. What are the safeguards? I don't know what they are. Well, I mean, the system that I favor is probably a middle ground between socialism and capitalism. Like, I'm literally talking about giving people basic needs for free. Would you be interested in ever doing like an in-depth conversation about economic systems? I find this conversation fascinating and feel like it might be good to have prepared questions. I mean, I could do that. I could probably do that for a stream sometime. And it's something that I could. I mean, I've obviously thought about this a lot, but there's always more to learn. Would you consider a system like social democracy to help out these issues? Yeah, social democracy is probably the closest label to the thing that I actually want. It's that capitalism incentivizes greed, which can be used for good, but communism incentivizes working together. Um, I guess I don't see how communism incentivizes working together. Um, and I also think that selfishness is somewhat human nature. I do think incentives matter, but I don't understand where, like, how you're going to make people just naturally always be altruistic and always think about other people before themselves. Like, I don't see that. Like, a lot of that seems to be human nature regardless of the system. I mean, you can incentivize it, I guess, but again, I just don't, I guess I don't know how that works. um I don't think it's like, I mean, humans are complex. I don't think humans are just like everyone's selfish, and I do think everyone is, I think we're born with empathy. um but I also think that people look out for themselves. People have a an instinct to look out for themselves. If something is obviously beneficial to them, then sure, they'll do it. But if it's not obviously and immediately beneficial to them, I don't know that it's people's first inclination uh, to proceed that way. And human nature is kind of a nebulous term, but um, I mean, if the argument is people are just going to just be nice to each other, and they just are, you I guess you could say that, but that's not convincing to me at all. Because I mean, it really isn't an argument. It's just an assertion without any backing. And to be fair, I don't have a frame of reference because I've not lived in people in lived with people in that kind of situation. But I mean, I've lived with people, so at least I have some frame of reference for that. I mean, but can you not conceive of situations where doing something for the common good does not seem to immediately benefit you yourself? Like, that's just a part of dynamics of group dynamics. Sometimes you have to make a sacrifice, a personal sacrifice, for the benefit of the group. That's just a thing that will happen. Well, some leftists make that argument, Nathan. And in fact, I don't. I mean, I don't. It seems like I haven't really heard a lot of very convincing arguments from leftists to begin with, but um, a lot of the arguments are basically just talking about how bad capitalism is, and they don't really talk very much about how good whatever system they favor is. But all of their capitalism is bad arguments are usually kind of like, I mean, like, I use the term lack of imagination a lot because I think that's what it is. Like, you know, someone like they were saying, I've never heard anyone talk about capitalism like this. I feel like this is a pretty common social democrat stance. But I think they just have this pre-imagined vision of what capitalism is based on how it is right now in the world, which is it's like really not a fair way to argue because I think most people agree that the current system is pretty bad. I mean, and also like if anybody wants to talk to me or if you want to talk to me, you can email me, hello@theonegender.com. I'm always down to have an email conversation. Yeah, some, not all. I mean, I really hope I don't have to hashtag not all everything I say. But I mean, I think a lot of it is interesting. Like I don't really have any issues with. Well, I mean, there are certain issues, but the concept of socialism and things like that, I think, are interesting, and I don't really have like they don't offend me or anything. But I just talk about the things that I prefer and the things that I like, and the ways that I would think about making that work. Um, I think my email should be in the description below the video. hello@theonejanitor.com. What do you wait? What are your thoughts on the pushback Disney is getting for changing Splash Mountain to a Princess and the Frog theme? Um, well, I mean, isn't it just because like Splash Mountain has been, or is it still Splash Mountain just with a different theme? Or are they just replacing it? Because Splash Mountain is like isn't it like a legendary thing? And isn't that the one that's like Song of the South themed? Well, I mean, Song of the South is pretty racist, right? So I don't really mind them changing it. The problem is the Princess and the Frog is not even that good. And that's the problem with Disney, though. If they wanted to like replace it with something more respectful to black people, maybe they should make more stuff with black people. How about that? I mean, I'm okay with it, to be honest. Like, whatever. But yeah, the thing about it's like, well, it's like they won't sell Song of the South anymore. They won't sell any DVDs of it. So if they're trying to like erase it, then this is just another part of that whole campaign, I guess. I mean, honestly, Princess and the Frog. When did that come out? That's pretty old now. 2009. That's like 10 years ago. I'm not crazy about capitalism because it tends to center human value on their ability to produce. Yeah, and well, see, I think that once people don't have to, once people aren't forced to work in order to live anymore, which I think is the very first thing that we need to fix, then I feel like those values might change a little bit. I feel like people will have more dignity when they do choose to work. If they choose to work, I don't think that people should have to work, but I do think that people that do work, that choose to work, should be rewarded for it. I don't know exactly how that works with communism, because it seems like you may still be forced to work in order for society to run. It's because us, each like wow, I can't talk anyway. Basically, the people that are able to work, it seems like you would have to work. Basically, like you couldn't choose not to work. It doesn't seem like, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, the basically the term is social democracy, social democrat. I mean, I'm sure you probably heard of it. That's kind of like the closest thing, but I think if you speak to one person, um, they might have a different idea of how that works from another person. Like for example, I'm literally in favor of like for example, a lot of people like UBI. I mean, UBI might work. I'm not sure, but that's never been my like favored thing. Like I literally just want to give people food. That's kind of what I want to do. And then there are some people who say, let's just increase the minimum wage by a lot. Let's give people like $20, $30 an hour, or let's give people a living wage, basically. Um, and that can be borderline on that same wavelength. So different people have different ideas and different levels of how much they want to do. Like it's weird how sometimes people talk about me like I'm some kind of like wacky capitalist centrist. Meanwhile, I'm literally over here talking about like giving people like everything for free. So like in that sense, I feel like I'm like to the left of a lot of liberals, which I mean I guess I'm technically a liberal. People like to use liberal as an insult, but I mean, yeah. But I guess the basic idea is social democrat. But as I've mentioned so many times, I usually dislike labels like that. But I mean, I guess that's a good starting point. Yeah, and that's also the thing. A lot of people, they spend their whole life working and they never really get to do or try anything that they're actually interested in. Yeah, from each according to their ability. So to me, that implies that you have to work. And I strongly oppose a society that forces people to work. I think people should work if they want to. And if that is an essential part of communism, then that's just another disagreement I have. Yeah, I would say I'm to the right of bread too, because I'm not an anti-capitalist. So that alone puts me to the right of most of them. I think there are people, you know, the more I don't know. There are people who are like less outspoken about it, and it's hard to say like, you know, where they actually stand. But then there are people who are like just straight up like, yeah, anarchy. If you're able-bodied, you have to contribute, but that's the case under any system. Well, no, I don't think if all of people's needs are met, then they don't have to work. Because there's enough money and resources to make that happen. Like if it was like impossible for that to happen, then I might have another view, but there's clearly enough resources so that people who don't want to work don't have to. Like literally, I mean, look how much money people have. There is so much money that people have but don't need. And I don't think that people are just going to stop contributing. I in fact think that probably most people will still work to some extent. Yeah, I don't even know what really BreadTube refers to. Like, I know there are, I mean, I feel like most of BreadTube is anti-capitalist. I don't think they're actually social democrats. It seems like, maybe I'm wrong. But also, not being able to work might only work in a society that is designed to, or where generating profit and creating wealth is important. So maybe that's part of it too. Like if it's possible for us to reach like ridiculous unemployment numbers, like I don't know, haven't we been as high as like 15-20% in over the past like 20 years? If we can have like 20% unemployment while also, you know, while also there being billionaires, then I think that we could take care of people's needs, which would not even take nearly as much money as people have at the top 1% or the top like 0.5% without them having to work. And I think that would slow down growth and slow down profit, but that's a fair trade-off to me. That's a more than fair trade-off. Yeah, it is the opposite of what I said. That's kind of what I mean. Well, I mean, maybe I don't understand, but if you just said that communism or socialism requires people to work, and I'm like literally arguing the opposite of that. Most of BreadTube are generic left populists. Very few actually argue for a communist or socialist program. I guess BreadTube just has a broader scope than what I'm aware of, because I feel like most of the people that I'm aware of are very specifically communist or anarchist. I don't think I know what Georgism is. Well, I mean, again, I don't know what people mean when they say capitalism. So if that's not capitalism, then I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like I've described a lot of the things that I think are definitionally capitalist that I prefer and agree with. And I also, I mean, I guess I'm arguing for a hybrid system. I don't know, but everyone just, I literally think everyone means something else when they say the word capitalism. Everyone means something different from person to person. Everyone has their own kind of like baked in baggage with the term. Roach Dog JR, thank you for the $2. PP Popo, what music have you been listening to? I don't really listen to music that much. If I listen to music, I just kind of listen to old music that I grew up listening to in like the early 2000s, like early 2000s hip hop, like old Missy Elliott and shit. I don't really keep up with music that much. How do you have competition and also people not working? How do you distribute things? Well, I think that people are still going to work. I think that's the part that might be missing. I don't think that people are not going to work, because I think that most people want more things than just their basic needs being met. But people will have the option to not work. If it turns out that just nobody wants to work, then you know, we would have to revisit things. But I don't foresee that happening, because I think that most people want more things than just their basic needs being met. Yeah, Outcast for sure. It's like old, like Outcast and old Jay-Z and stuff like that. Also like video game music sometimes. I really like the Katamari Damacy soundtrack. I listen to that shit all the time. I think capitalism is just corporate person owned as opposed to government owned. Yeah, government or community owned. But yeah, and I said earlier, like, I'm okay with private ownership, and I like competitive markets. So like, I, I guess what I'm saying is those things are not mutually exclusive from giving people basic needs. Well, I mean, I'm kind of going off your explanation. You kind of implied that everyone has to work under communism. I mean, in fact, I think you said it verbatim. I just started watching videos, and I really appreciate your thoughtfulness and calm demeanor. Appreciate that, Tricky Biscuit. Someone remarked that we don't listen to the latest music anymore. We are all in our mid-20s. Is that when you stop following current pop music? Um, Kind of. Yeah, I think so. Like late 20s. And every now and then I will happen to hear a lot of songs just just naturally, like if I'm like at a bar or something and people are playing stuff on the jukebox. Like I got really into Billie Eilish when she first came out, and I just kind of randomly, I mean, to be fair, it was hard to not hear her songs because she was so huge, but I didn't like seek it out. So every now and then something will come out that I like, and that might encourage me to check more of it out. But yeah, I think around mid to late 20s. Have I been going to protests? I have not been going to protests. I mean, I totally back protests, but I also don't want to get COVID, so I'm not participating in any gatherings. Everyone needs to work under capitalism too, though, right? I don't like. I feel like your argument is different every time you say something. If not, how do we avoid people needing to work while still producing? I said that. I mean, maybe you typed this before I said it, but I think that people are still going to work. That's the thing. Do I watch the needle drop? Not really, but I'm familiar. I have a Discord. Actually, that's another way that you could have conversations with me. Although, um, well, yeah, if you go on the Discord and tag me, then I can hop in. But it's a good way to have discussions with other people too. I have a Discord though for sure. TheOneJanitor.com/Discord. Timmy Archel the second, thank you for the $5 for your next chat. Can you play some of your guitar? I'm learning piano, and it's nice to see people's growth and restarts, even if they don't play. I can maybe play it just for fun, but I'm not good at it. And I really haven't picked it up in years. But maybe I can just do it for content. But I appreciate that. But yeah, that's another way that discussions can be had, like longer discussions. And we've got a politics and news channel, and we also have all kinds of stuff like philosophy and sports and TV and film and all kinds of stuff. What's my favorite Outkast album? I feel like this is an unpopular opinion, but my favorite is the Speaker Box Little Up Below. It's perfection from beginning to end. I feel like most people say like Aquemini or ATLians or something, which they're all classics. They're all good. But my favorite, I think, is Speaker Box of Love Below. Ghost in the Pillows. I don't think I've heard that one. If they choose not to, how does that happen? If every single person chooses not to, then that's a problem for my ideology. I don't think that's going to happen. But if only a few people or if some people choose not to, then I don't think it matters because there's enough money to go around. I don't think it affects it. I think that most people are probably still going to work. But I don't like the idea of a society that says you have to work in order to live. And by giving people basic needs, you eliminate that because you no longer have to work in order to live. But I think that most people will still work. Some people won't, of course. But I think that there is still enough wealth and enough resources to go around that everyone can still be taken care of. For the sake of debate, couldn't you liken your belief that people are still going to work to the assumption that people won't be greedy? Possibly, but the thing about it is, I'm asking for the explanation for why people won't be greedy. I've at least provided a basic explanation for why I think that people are still going to work. And perhaps that's not convincing enough to people, which is fair. But I just haven't heard the explanation for why people will just somehow like randomly decide to be nice to each other. I mean, I guess people like, so, you know, there was an explanation. Like, I think one person offered one earlier, just said that the society will incentivize it. But it's not necessarily convincing to me, which is fine. And maybe what I'm saying is not convincing to you. But it seems like most people here are agreeing with me that most people will still work. So I don't know. I like most genres of music. When I'm in my car, I always have it on the classic rock station. So I like a lot of that 70s and 80s rock and roll. Let's talk about Crucial Conflict. I mean, I can't really say much about them because I know like two songs and really just one. I know that there was another one, but I can barely remember how it goes. I remember Andy Worski from back in the day. I don't know what he's doing these days. I remember him being not great back in the day, though. I feel like people not needing to work seems like the reason you don't like communism. Well, I never said that I don't like communism. And I think that's another thing people assume. But in fact, I was not even sure that that was a tenet of communism until this conversation. But yeah, I don't like the idea that people have to work in order to live. So if that is a tenet of communism, then that is something I don't like about it. But I'm almost speaking more of it in a values, sort of a value system way than a what will happen way, because I do think the values of the system that you have are important. Um, I don't think that people are nice by human nature. At least my experience has not been that way. People are polite by human nature, but I don't think people are nice. I think in general, people will always do the thing that benefits them more than the thing that benefits someone else. In general, that's the natural inclination. You can train yourself to not be like that, but I don't think that's the natural inclination of humans. He's still not great. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched in like years. Yeah, I like Big Joel actually. Well, I guess I'm very confused about whether people are required to work in communism because I feel like both things have been said. You have to look outside of colonialism. And how do you do that? And there are certain things that are like just naturally unconvincing to me that sound kind of silly to me. Like this is when we get into class reductionism theory, where people say like, oh, the reason that people are shitty is because of capitalism. It's like, okay. I must admit that that just is that naturally is unconvincing to me. It's just really hard for me to take an argument like that seriously. So it's like once we get rid of capitalism, people magically stop being shitty. People magically stop being racist. People magically stop being greedy. It's all capitalism's fault. That just sounds silly to me. That just sounds very unlikely to be true. And like I said, and also like I said, human nature is, the term human nature is kind of nebulous. I probably shouldn't use it because it's almost certainly cultural factors as well. But we are moving more and more towards a global culture, and if we're talking about like the best system going forward, we have to think about how people are today, and how they might react to something in the future. I've never seen God is Gray. I mean, I would love to see more examples. I want to say thanks for making really cool, informative videos. Appreciate that. Thank you. And also, a lot of times it doesn't take, depending on what you're talking about, it doesn't take all of society. Like there might be a large group of people that do decide to work together. But in some cases, all it takes is a couple people to be corrupt, to just ruin everything. Just depending on the situation. And in fact, that's kind of usually what it is. Especially if we're talking about bigotry, most people aren't racist. I think that most people aren't racist. People are weird and selfish, but I think most people aren't racist. However, all it takes is a couple of racist people to get into the right situation to just ruin everything for everybody. And I don't know how you deal with that in certain systems. We've done a very poor job of dealing with it in this system. But I think that there are pretty easy fixes. Like I don't think you magically make people stop being racist, and that's what I feel like I'm hearing from a lot of leftists. It's like, oh, if you get rid of capitalism, people just won't be racist anymore. It's like I don't get that, that jump. And of course, most people won't be racist, but some people will. And sometimes you have just enough to make it bad for everyone. You can, yeah. Any proposed system needs to have responses for these kinds of things. And if we don't have a response, then that's a hole in your theory. We can talk about my ideas or anybody's idea. I've kind of already talked about it, but and like I said, I don't dislike a lot of these other systems. I'm just talking about what I prefer and what I think makes the most sense. Do I have any examples? Yeah, people tweet it at me all the time. And I've seen comments. Like, no one has verbatim said that people will magically not be racist, but people all the time say, basically say that the root of all social justice issues is class, is the basically that once class problems are solved, then all the other social justice issues will be solved as a result. That is something that gets said to me all the time. And I think that most leftists will fervently deny that they are class reductionists because they understand that that's a bad thing to be. But then when you actually when they actually start talking about their ideas, it's very clear that that's what they are. They basically imply that once you get rid of capitalism, once you fix class issues, then all the other issues will somehow be fixed along the way. So yeah, here's one on Twitter. The question would be, what system gives you the greatest opportunity to convince people with power and influence out of their bigoted beliefs? Implies that getting rid of capitalism will make it easy for people to stop being racist, make it easier just for people to stop being racist. Hold on. I'm just searching my Twitter. People yell this at me all the time. Capitalism takes advantage of pre-existing hierarchies to justify unequal and thus more profitable treatment. So to address prejudice, you need to address the pre-existing hierarchy that capitalism will exacerbate. Yeah, so this doesn't literally say that getting rid of capitalism will magically make people stop being racist, but that's literally what that means. Now, some people say that capitalism makes racism worse, which I also disagree with, but that is a different argument. Okay. See, literally, he just wrote racism only exists because of capitalism. Like, what do you guys mean that no one says these things? He just wrote it down.
YouTube best Pokemon.
Adeptus Mechanicus, thank you for the $5. Mewtwo best Pokemon. Fair enough. See, this is I don't like. I feel. Am I crazy? Like, I'm being told that people don't say it, but you're saying it and you're agreeing with someone that said the exact thing. Like, what? This is why these conversations are so weird to me. Like, what's going on? I mean, it was literally verbatim the thing. Was it not? Am I wrong, chat? it wasn't even a rewording of it. Like in its current form, I mean, that's kind of it's sort of like a nebulous way of wording it. Like, what do you mean in its current form? And why is its current form significant? Like if there's racism in any form, that's bad and should go away. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Like that's kind of what it sounds like. People say, "Oh, no, obviously I'm not saying that capitalism causes racism," and then they literally type capitalism caused racism. Like, what? And if you believe that, then just say it. That's fine. I just disagree. But a lot of leftists very fervently, they get mad when you call them when you accuse them of saying that. It's like, well, you kind of said it though. Hey T1J, love your videos. Keep it up, man. Appreciate it. I don't understand exactly. I mean, that was like word for word the same thing. I mean, I'm maybe I'm missing something. Maybe that's why a longer conversation is needed. Because that's kind of what I mean when it happens all the time. It's like, I mean, you just said the thing that no one says, or you just said the thing that you don't mean. But I mean, like maybe the only qualifier was in its current form. But again, why is it significant what form it is in? Because racism is bad in any form. Yeah, I don't know. I try not to be cynical, but I think people are just a lot of people just don't. They haven't like they start out with the conclusion. They haven't like reconciled all the beliefs yet. They just know what they believe, but and listen, there are some people who are proud class reductionists. They truly and honestly believe that once you fix the class problems, then all of the other problems will gradually go away or be really easy to solve. I just think if you believe that, then just own it. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I will say like this particular discussion, like I talk about this kind of stuff on my stream all the time. And this particular discussion, I think, has been one of the most interesting. I think a lot of times it gets really condescending. And I hope I haven't sounded condescending. That's not my intention. But I think a lot of times people talk to me as if I'm just dumb and I've never thought about this. And if I only, if only you just knew a little bit more, or if only you would read this thing that I read, you would think differently. Or you just, I don't know, you're just brainwashed by the liberal society you live in. And so I'm happy that none of that has gone on, because that happens a lot too. And that happens a lot, you know, not even directly, but sometimes I'll watch content from, you know, some of the people who are popular, who people like, and it's just like super condescending. It's just it just implies that liberals are brainwashed, or, you know, they're just not that smart. You know, it's almost like, let's be nice to them, they're just not that smart. It's like, all right, dude. That's a great way to get people on your side. Like, I mean, I don't want to name names, but I've seen like several videos basically with that tone. And you guys probably have too. One of the first semantic problems I have when talking about racism with conservatives is their perception of racism equals the conscious, uttered belief in inferior races. Is there an easy fix for that? Well, I don't think there's an easy fix for that, but I think that you just have to define your terms off the top. I think what the problem is, a lot of times people don't define their terms, and so they just say racist. And to be fair, I think that that definition of racist is obviously too narrow. But sometimes you have to define your terms. So sometimes people just shout racist, and then that just, you know, that draws a visceral reaction from people. But you have to be like, from the beginning of the conversation, you have to be like, this is what I mean when I say racist, and this is why it's still bad, even though, you know, there's different degrees, there's different types, but it's still racist because it still contributes to this oppression and inequality. So that's why I still choose to use the word racist in this situation. And I made a whole video about that, and I think that's part of how you can talk about stuff like that. I made a video called "Racist is an Adjective, Not a Noun," which basically that's what that's about. But yeah, but it's not easy. Some people are just never going to come to the table. Like in that video, I talk about there's this interview, I think, with Don Lemon and these other people, and they were basically talking about how they're talking about Donald Trump and how he's racially insensitive, and they're like, yeah, he's said all these like really shitty things, but I won't call him a racist. That's a really harsh thing to call someone. It's like, well, what criteria do you have to meet? I don't know that much about Vaush. Um, I get asked about him all the time. Maybe I need to check him out. I feel like I specifically get asked about him more than other people. No, I don't. That's exactly what I was saying, is that you don't sound condescending, and I just appreciate that because that happens a lot. And just in general, like everyone in this conversation has been quite civil and interesting. And even if I'm still taking in everything that people are saying. Um, so I don't want people to feel like their words are lost on me, but I still, I still participate in the discussion. Sorry I'm late, but I just found your channel today and I've been binging your videos for the last couple hours. I love it. I appreciate that. Yeah, my videos have been suggested a lot recently. So there's a lot of new people. So shout outs to all the new people. And welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy things. I do these little chill streams twice a week. Right now we're just chilling, just talking, but we might other streams might have activities like gaming or painting or drawing or cooking or whatever. We're almost at our goal for my first cooking stream, so yeah, I'm not, I don't try to sound smart. There are definitely things that I don't know a lot about. And I try not to talk about things that I don't know a lot about. And sometimes there's people in the chat that know more about things than I do, and I'm happy to listen. And I'm happy to defer to other people's knowledge, and I can go look it up myself in the future. lot of these kinds of conversations, people conflate capitalism with colonialism. I think that's where some of the racism stuff comes in. Yeah, I could see that. Randy Davis became a homie. Appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a homie. We are at 40 homies now. And as a homie, you now will have a green name, you'll have a little icon, and you'll have access to my homie only emotes, which I'm actually going to add more emotes. Jamie Sue just got in the chat. You doing all right, my dude? I'm doing pretty good, yeah. Thanks for asking. And also, like, when it comes down to it, the thing that I want, and I think this kind of differentiates from other people, but I just want the world to be a better place. Like, I have some ideas, but say like some kind of socialist party comes into power and transforms the United States into a more socialist country. If that works, then I'm happy. I'm not going to be mad if people's lives are better. You know, I just want the world to be better. But if what they do works, then let's go. I'm super down. I feel like a lot of people don't feel that way, though. I think some people very specifically want their style of government to be imposed on the world, whether or not it's actually the best idea. What's a homie? A homie is a member. That's when you click the join button, become a member of the channel. I call it homies. I also call people who are patrons homies, but the homie tracker on the screen specifically tracks YouTube members. I don't have a way of showing how, like, new patrons on here. If I figure out a way, I'll do that. I'm new as well. I particularly like your videos on race and ones relating to how to behave as a man. As a white trans man, I'm listening and feel respected in your content. Thank you very much, Simon. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to be, I try very hard to make sure that my videos are like inclusive, and I have a large male audience, so I keep that in mind with a lot of videos. I'm lucky in that I also have a pretty decently sized female audience, and I think I even have a pretty decent size like non-binary audience compared to some other people. CB, thank you for the $10. Recently found your videos and I love them. I find your content honest, down to earth, and very approachable. You're my go-to now for introducing sensitive topics to friends and fam. Thank you very much, CB. Thank you for your kind words. What kind of music do I listen to? The artist, well, that's not a good name, dude. You're gonna get me you're gonna get me demonetized. Yeah, it didn't even show up in the chat. Anyway, thanks for becoming a member. I think you have to change your name though. All right, I lost my place. That messed up my thought process. We were talking about earlier, I listen to a lot of old school hip hop, but I don't really keep up with music that much. But I like all genres. I like classic rock and hip hop the most probably, but I listen to anything probably. How long have I been on YouTube? I think I made my channel in 2007 or 2008, one of those. I would say that I've been a YouTuber in that I've been very specifically and consistently making YouTube videos since 2010. But yeah, if you yeah, click the join button, become a member to be a homie. Can I claim the female and non-binary audience at the same time? Represent the minority regardless? Yeah, absolutely. YouTube specifically doesn't track non-binary people. I don't think like there's like when you make your account, I don't think there's an option for non-binary. Maybe there is, but I know in my analytics it doesn't show me, so I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people in my streams and stuff have told me that they're non-binary, so I feel like I probably have a decent mix there, at least compared, because a lot of men, like most like men tend to have like 90% male audiences, at least from what I've seen. Even men in this like left-wing progressive, whatever you want to call it, space. So I feel like pretty good that I've been able to build a decent female audience. Like I think I'm about 65 to 70% male, and then like 30 to 35% female, which is pretty big compared to a lot of other men. I actually have never seen Hamilton. I feel like I'm the only person on earth that has never seen it or listened to it. Yeah, I'm pretty much an OG YouTuber. I've been around for a while. I had a big boost. I got like my first batch of subscribers like in 2013 or so, where I had a few videos that got a lot of views, and that's when I got to maybe about 50,000 subscribers. And then I kind of grew for a while, and then I just kind of like plateaued and flew under the radar for a good like 3 or so years. So I was sort of in the background. I had like a little small audience, but I was just sort of in the background for a while this sort of like progressive left tube, bread tube stuff started to come up around me. And I think that helped me because people started to look for more similar content, and I was already making that kind of content. So that kind of helped me. The rise of those people kind of helped me. And then more recently, things have been going a lot better for me. And especially like just this past week, for some reason I got put back into the algorithm, and I've gained like 20,000 subscribers over the past like 2 weeks. So things are going well. I feel like I have to have been watching you since at least 2012, maybe 2010. Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, 2010 is when I really started taking it seriously. Sucks that your channel isn't bigger. It deserves to be bigger. Yeah, I mean, it's different people grow at different speeds. And to be fair, like some of it is my fault. Like there was a period where, well, I wouldn't say like my fault, but there was a period where there were some things going on in my life that made it harder to focus on my channel. And then there was a period where I was just kind of really lazy and unmotivated. So I kind of put out shitty videos that, you know, they were just kind of throwaway videos. Like I still agreed with the content and stuff, but I didn't put a lot of effort into growing the channel. And once I actually started to put more effort into it, I actually started to grow more. Once I started to like pay attention what people were doing and what people wanted to see, and I started growing. So I don't know. I'm okay because things have been going well for me lately. Sometimes you just have to wait for your opportunity and just make sure that you're there to take advantage of it when it happens. You were saying a lot of people were shouting you out because that you know, it right now it's really been a perfect storm of things for me. Because originally someone also asked about the pandemic. When the pandemic first hit, I actually lost, for example, I lost patrons and stuff because obviously people were out of work and stuff. But then the Black Lives Matter stuff happened, and then I started getting a lot more shout outs and a lot more patrons and people watching me and things like that. And then I think a couple of things happened. at first, like a couple of my videos hit the algorithm. For one, my Tina Fey video and my Sam Harris video, and I think it's because both of them were in the news. Tina Fey was in the news because 30 Rock pulled the episode that had blackface in it, so that was a big topic, and people were searching to Tina Fey. And then Sam Harris has been making a bunch of dumb comments about police brutality and stuff like that, and so that renewed interest in Sam Harris. And those videos already were very successful, at least for me. So I think that they already, you know, the algorithm already knew that those were videos that people liked. So it just started just smashing those videos in people's faces. And then from there, it's just been going for the past couple weeks. I think it's finally like peaked and it's starting to trend back downward. Also, not my last video, but my second to last video also did pretty well. Also because it was kind of a hot topic. I was talking about that recent letter, that free speech letter that was put out. And in fact, we were talking about that letter on the stream a few weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago. And I hadn't even read it at that time, but then I read it like a couple of days later. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a video about this. And I put J.K. Rowling in the thumbnail. You know, I clickbait, and it is doing pretty well. You know, I think it's got about like 60,000 views now. I hope I'm part of that. I had a video of yours posted on my Instagram for about a month now. I mean, it's hard to say, but it's very possible. You never know. I think that any little bit of sharing and exposure really contributes, because it's very easy for things to get passed around on the internet. Do I have a specific goal with my channel at the moment? Well, at the very moment, I'm just trying to make more content, and I'm trying to build this up as much as I can. That's kind of my main goal right now. I just want to make more content. And hopefully grow the channel and grow my resources into where I can use my resources to make even cooler stuff, and to like use my resources in a like a productive and helpful way, you know, in society and stuff. Like I want to do like charity streams and stuff, and I want to do like, I don't know, I don't really know yet, but I want to build my resources in order to you know, make some moves in life. And I also want to do personal things. Like I eventually want to like start a family and stuff, and I'm not in a position to really do that yet. So I need to grow. I need to build the empire. Yeah, J.K. Rowling's in the thumbnail. It's called "What Everyone Gets Wrong About Cancel Culture." And I will say, like, as with a lot of my videos, I try to discuss things from multiple angles. So a lot of times I sort of intentionally made it so that you can't really guess what the video is actually about just by the title, because people might assume that they know what I'm going to say about it. But my hope is that you will be somewhat surprised by what I say, but also you will find it interesting, if not convincing. Like I could do, but yeah, listen. I could do charity streams now, but I just feel like I don't have enough of a platform to really make it significant. Like I could be underestimating myself, but I wish I would have watched your stream sooner, honestly, but until your WoW stream, I just stuck to your regular videos. Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, most recently I've been I've been putting a lot of effort into improving the stream, which I didn't do before. So it's possible that the streams before were less interesting and also less like pretty. Like I'm using a better camera. I've got like the lights in the background, got a decent little layout here. Trying to think of cool things to do, cool incentives. So I'm trying to like make the stream actually entertaining. I got here from diversity versus tokenism. Actually, that video, I think that one might be being shared as well, because I just looked up and it has like 200,000 views, I think. Yeah, it has 200,000 views. I don't know when that happened. So that might be another one of the videos that is getting shared out. Do I know Adam Neely? He coined something he called reverse clickbait, where he poses a question in the video title and then answers it in the thumbnail. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a thumbnail strategy that I've realized. Not specifically that specific thing, but the idea of telling a story using your title and your thumbnail. Like, I think what a lot of people do sometimes is they make the information in the title the exact same thing as the information in the thumbnail. But you should make it sort of tell a story, let them like play off of each other. And I try to do that if I can. That's another thing I'm going to be working on. And I talked about this on Twitter, but I'm probably going to start being a little more clickbaity. I hope y'all are okay with that. Because I'm trying to get these views, dog. But I'm not gonna be like annoying. Like, I'm not gonna be like Logan Paul and shit. But I'm gonna be more clickbaity. But that's kind of how you do that, you know. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example on my channel. Oh, like the left tube video, like we talked about. I made this video called "I'm Kinda Over This Left Tube Thing," and the thumbnail is a picture of ContraPoints, Natalie, and H-Bomber Guy. And first of all, the pictures that I chose are great because they both look kind of like annoyed in the video, in the thumbnail. So I found good pictures. But also, I think if you know anything about this subject, you're like, wait, why does he have Natalie and H-Bomber Guy in the thumbnail? Is he saying that he doesn't like them? Is he saying he's over them? I gotta see what he's talking about. I feel that's kind of how I feel like the mindset goes. But I think I'm gonna get even more obnoxious with the clickbait. And then sometimes it's like very simple, like just almost the natural thing can be kind of clickbaity. Like my video about cultural appropriation, it's just called Cultural Appropriation Revisited. Not very clickbaity title. However, the thumbnail is a picture of Miley Cyrus from, you know, one of her rap videos making a silly face. And so it's the obvious implication is that Miley Cyrus is an example of cultural appropriation. I think that connection alone makes people want to click, because it's like, even if like they might think that the video is just me dunking on Miley Cyrus, and people might click just because of that. In fact, I don't dunk on Miley Cyrus in the video. I do mention her though. But hopefully after they click, the video is interesting enough for them to keep watching. So yeah. But yeah, the content will be the same. Yeah, I even mentioned in the video that that it was clickbait. Watched a couple of your videos and liked them. I appreciate the Abe Odyssey sample. Yeah, that's like a little Easter egg for the people that recognize where it's from. Yeah, I kind of felt that I had to make that cultural appropriation video because It only because my original cultural appropriation video is so popular. Like it is literally the second or third most viewed video on my channel. So it's kind of like become representative of T1J's take, and I just feel like it was incomplete, so I had to fix it. Just came from Lindsay Ellis's stream. What did I miss? Just me chilling. I've honestly forgot Lindsay Ellis was streaming. That's kind of I hope she doesn't get mad at me for streaming at the same time as her. I probably didn't take many of her viewers though. I think that most people would rather watch her than me. You got me initially with your Sam Harris video 2 years ago after I dove into YouTube after a breakup, and it's definitely not as hard on him as I expected. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's the kind of like you got to think of ways to get people intrigued. The only problem with that is that sometimes people still react to the title. Like for example, a lot of comments that I get, like the Sam Harris video is called "Why I Stopped Idolizing Sam Harris," I think, and pretty much 1 out of every 10 comments is like, well, the problem is you shouldn't idolize anyone. So there's your problem. And it's like, dude, it's just the title. But you know, I picked that title, so I have to own it. But I've started to embrace that. Like if people hone in on the title that much, I think that means I've done the clickbait well. Do you know about the later Oddworld games? I have not played Stranger's Wrath. But like, I think if my original cultural appropriation video didn't have so many views, I might not have even made that video. But I'm glad I did because I think it came out good, and also it did well. A lot of people watched it, so. I think it's fair to just ignore people who only react to the title without watching the video. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Oh, who is Lindsay Ellis? Yeah. Yeah, basically she's kind of like a YouTube film critic, video essayist. Really, really great. Like one of the best channels in my opinion. She's also like super funny. Like I don't know if like people talk about like her takes and stuff and how her views and stuff are very good and interesting, which obviously I agree with. But I feel like a lot of people don't comment on how funny she is. Like she's literally hilarious. Like I think she could be a professional comedian if she wanted to. Also kind of look up to her as like kind of like an example of how to do this job correctly. Not even just in terms of the content, but just in like how she conducts her business and things like that, and how she uses her platform. Well, yeah, if it's on the Switch, that might be a good thing because I've been looking for more things to play on the Switch. Pretty much only have Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing, and like I have like Undertale and Hollow Knight. but I need more games. Oh yeah, she used to be the nostalgia chick from that whole thing, but I think she sort of disowned that part of her career because apparently it was not a great time for her, and apparently that company was run by assholes. She is still doing work for PBS. I think she just put out a video for PBS. Yeah, she just did. It's on. Well, it's on the Storied channel. That's a different channel, I guess. I think this is. Yeah, this is still PBS. Oh, that okay. All of them are on Storied. Yeah, she does a series for PBS called "It's Lit," where she talks about literature. Get it? Anyway, but the channel is Storied, Storied, and she just put out a video a week ago. Have I played Breath of the Wild? I have played Breath of the Wild. I had it on Wii U. But yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I guess they renamed the channel. I was glad to see you on Nebula. I'm a worker co-op guy, so I signed up when I saw it was owned by the creators. We'll love to hear your thoughts on that platform. I mean, I think the whole thing is great. I'm basically a small fry in the whole collective, but it is truly 100% owned, collectively owned by everybody. Different people have different levels of association. Like right now, all I do is just put my videos on there, the ones that I already put on YouTube. But there are people who make exclusive content just for Nebula, and you know, as I get more ideas and resources, I might try to do something like that. And you know, they're working with different sponsors and things like that to help fund it, and it's been very successful. A lot of people are joining it because I think, just like you said, I think they like the idea of it. And I'm sure that we would all love to get to a point where we like don't have to rely on YouTube at all. But obviously it's a subscription platform, so you know, not everybody's going to be able to pay for it. So I think all of us will still use YouTube, but like, you know, I'm not super anxious about views, but I do get a little sad when my videos don't get a lot of views. Like it's pretty, you know, it's maybe not the healthiest thing, but like for example, my most recent video is about X-Men, which I understand that's not what I usually do, so those kinds of videos never get that many views, but it just didn't really get any views, and it's just kind of disappointing. But I don't believe in putting my content behind a paywall. But there may be certain situations where I can make something through the help of some kind of sponsor or something, and then put it on Nebula, and that sort of be how it gets funded. But I'm very hesitant to make something like exclusively pay behind a paywall. Yeah, I would have to really think about that. Yeah, I mean it's literally like literally every month they pay out everyone like a share of the profits for Nebula. And like I said, I'm a small fry. A lot of it is based on like how much watch time you get. So you know, I'm only getting a little bit, but still. It's a great idea. It's awesome. And they've got more ideas, more things coming, so you can kind of keep an eye out for that. And speaking of, how I got involved with this company is actually through Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay Ellis basically put me in contact with this company. So that's literally just good looking out on her part. She I mean, I guess she just thought that my content was good and wanted to help me like with that kind of thing. So that's another reason why Lindsay Ellis is awesome. She used her connections to help this brother out. And that's the kind of stuff that I hope to do once I get more resources and connections. For sure, yeah. If you can support Nebula, especially right now, like if you, it's like very, very cheap because you can get Nebula through CuriosityStream, and CuriosityStream is literally like $250 a month or something like that. So you know, if you've got $15 for a year of CuriosityStream, you get Nebula free. And I'm like, literally, like, obviously my last video was sponsored, so they paid me to say it, but it's true. And this stream is not sponsored, and I'm still saying it. It's like super good deal. I guess I haven't really listened thoroughly to the Dark Souls and Bloodborne soundtrack. I think I remember them being pretty good though. I think there's one Dark Souls song that's on my playlist. Like I play music during my D&D games. I think there's one that was on the playlist, but I can't even remember what it's called. And this is an interesting conversation about, you know, we were talking about, you know, collective ownership and stuff, because Nebula is collectively owned by the people who work on it, but it is also definitely for profit. So it's like a combination of those types of things. So that's just an interesting, I don't mean to restart that conversation, but it's just an interesting method of doing stuff. Thanks for helping me expand my perspective by listening to others that don't look like me. Also, YouTube is kind of trash and Lindsay Ellis is dope. Well, I appreciate your comments. I think there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube. You just have to go in the right spots. That's what the math was what got me. You said $15 a year. I was like, no, wait, you mean a month? It's like, no. I do think you have to purchase the whole year at once if you want to get that price. That's why I said if you have like $15, you can go ahead and get it. But I still think even if you do monthly, it's maybe like $3 a month or something. you can look that up though and double check though. And also, CuriosityStream is dope too. And this is another thing that I hope comes through. I won't knowingly do a sponsorship with a product that I don't like. Unless they offer me like a ridiculously life-changing amount of money. Like maybe then. And I will probably own up to it like after the contract has expired. But you know, sometimes you gotta take what they give you. But for now, I will never do like if I'm doing a sponsorship, is because I've tried and I like the product. There have been times where I tried and liked the product, but then later found out that there was some iffy things going on, either behind the scenes or even in front of the scenes. And I'll usually own up to that if I notice. Like for example, I did a sponsorship for BetterHelp, but then there was a lot of issues where people, I don't know exactly what came of it, but people were saying like BetterHelp is sort of like an online therapy service kinda. But they were saying like they don't vet their therapists, or and they're like they don't like the criteria for who becomes like a licensed therapist on the app is that wasn't like very high criteria, or so it was something weird like that. And so yeah, I think I like tweeted about like, yeah, I didn't know. I mean, it seemed like I tried it out for a little while and I thought it seemed cool, and I looked it up. It seemed like everyone was like had the professional credentials and stuff like that. So I don't know. Sometimes that happens, but I would never knowingly do that. You said in one of your videos that you aren't allowed to monetize your videos on YouTube because of the political nature of the videos. Some of the videos are demonetized, and usually, like when people say demonetized, that usually means limited monetization. So you might get a very small number of ads, but it's like close to zero. Some of them do, and in all honesty, most of the videos are monetized, but some of them aren't. It's like if I decide to do something very specifically controversial, like for example, any of the videos that I made about the riots are just instantly demonetized, because if you talk about like a very controversial current event or political event, it almost certainly will get instantly demonetized. Let's see. Like the video I made about reparations, demonetized. I think. No, I don't think the colorism video is demonetized. Most of the ones I've done recently have been okay, besides the one that I did about the riots. I also think the performative wokeness one, well, that one, the ads are not on that one yet, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just saying it is more likely for me to have a video demonetized than most YouTubers because of the type of stuff that I talk about. Also, one of my streams got demonetized recently, but I think we were talking about a bunch of like crazy shit, like serial killers and pedophilia and stuff. So I guess the algorithm just kind of detected it. And in fact, me just saying those words might have caused this stream to become demonetized. But, you know, I'm not super worried about that because the streams don't get a lot of views. But yeah, I don't want to imply that all of my videos are monetized. That it's only some of them. And in fact, the videos that have been getting promoted, the Sam Harris one, the Tina Fey one, diversity versus tokenism, all those videos are monetized, and because they're blowing up, I'm getting a lot of ad revenue from them. So that's good. But for example, if my video on riots were to blow up, I wouldn't get anything from it. So does doing the subtitles in other languages help you in any way? Yeah. I don't know if it's like just that is going to make it get like 5,000 more views or anything, but I definitely have a lot of viewers who for them English is not their first language, and so they can miss a lot of the actual nuance of what I'm saying just because they don't quite understand the way I'm phrasing things. So I would love for people to translate my videos, but you know, that's work, so I'm not going to ask anyone to do it. But if someone wants to do it of their own free will, that's perfectly fine. Which, by the way, if you don't know, you can go in and on your own just go and translate my videos if you want. That's something that the public can do. It seems so unfair that any of them are getting demonetized. Well, ultimately, the advertisers get to choose what they want to advertise against. it's kind of unfair that it's chosen by algorithms and robots rather than humans, but it would be, there's too much stuff on YouTube for them to do it with humans. I wonder, like, I think that probably my videos wouldn't get demonetized if they were human reviewed, because I'm not like super like edgy or controversial, really. I mean, some of the topics I talk about are controversial, but you know, if the Daily Show can have a fucking like Advil commercial, you know, like I feel like my videos can have one. But there are people that are worse than me. I don't know if this is still the case, but I remember Natalie from the ContraPoints channel saying that most of her videos were demonetized, and that she like barely made any money from ad revenue. So but to be honest, I still think this is a problem. I think a lot of anything related to LGBTQ is more likely to be demonetized, and that's definitely a problem. I don't agree with that. Like with my stuff, it's kind of whatever, because it's like, okay, yeah, you don't want to put an ad on something talking about riots or talking about racism. You want your shit to have a family friendly brand. But like the mere mention of anything related to gay or trans people, you get demonetized. That's shitty, because that's not automatically not family friendly. That's just people living their lives, you know. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you can translate a video, and maybe once I start getting more money, I might just get them professionally translated. But that it might open your audience to like 10 more people. It'll help them understand the video more, and or it'll help them find the video. And to me, that's worth it. So I think that in that way, it does help. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Amberly, but like it's lucky when a video that you make gets a lot of ad revenue, but I think that any smart YouTuber and any smart content creator has moved beyond worrying about ad revenue, because you just never know what's going to happen. Um, so right now, I'm much more. I feel like if I deliver good content, even if it doesn't get a lot of ad revenue or any ad revenue, ultimately I can still, make a living, because people will people will become patrons, people will become members, sponsors will want to work with me. So, and honestly, the fact that I have sponsors kind of disproves what the ad revenue or what the demonetization thing is. To be fair, I only work with specific sponsors, but obviously some companies will work with me. In fact, they largely don't care what kind of content you have. All they care about is the fact that you have an audience. All right, Tony, thanks for hopping in the stream. Um, I might end the stream maybe in like 30 minutes or so, though. It is getting late. But it's been a lively conversation. I don't like to abruptly end the stream if there's a cool conversation happening. I think ad revenue only matters when you are getting millions and millions of views like every week or month. That's when ad revenue actually matters. Like I said, the fact that I have certain videos blowing up now, that's a not insignificant boost to my income for next month, maybe even the month after. But then it's going to eventually plateau back to normal. What advice would you give to someone getting started in YouTube today? particularly with a political educational bend. Dr. Poindexter became a homie. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Only 8 more, and then we I guess I got to do a cooking stream. This happened a lot faster. I started the goal when I had about 20 homies, but there are 42 now. It's like, well, I guess I got to start thinking about how I'm going to do this. Anyway, new YouTuber. So it kind of depends on how experienced you are with making videos. If you're like literally new to everything, the first thing you should do is just get used to making videos and get decent at making videos. Like before you think about anything else, you should get comfortable with and decent at making content. I think content is the absolute #1 thing that you should focus on. I think there's this idea, especially with political people, I think there's this idea some people have that they deserve viewers just by virtue of the fact that they made something. But I don't agree with that. I think that you only deserve viewers once you've made something good. So if you're like putting out a bunch of garbage, you shouldn't expect people to watch it. So that should be the very first thing. And it can take a long time to get to the point where you are decent at videos, or it might be quick. You might pick it up quickly, or you might have prior experience in one of the fields related to, you know, making stuff like, you know, like writing or performing or editing or any of that stuff, camera work. I think even having just a little bit of a leg up on any of those things can help. Yeah, definitely focus. I would say focus on the content of the video before you focus on production quality. But I will say that having decent audio, I think, is really important. Even if you're saying the most brilliant shit ever, if it sounds like shit, I don't think people will actually watch it. So, but that's not that hard to achieve. I don't know like how much money you have to invest, but you might want to invest on getting a decent microphone, like a USB, like a Blue Yeti or something, or even a Blue Snowball, which is a little cheaper. But the Blue Yeti is kind of like the standard for like the beginner like microphone. But I do think that production quality eventually becomes important. It's just perceived credibility if the videos look better. It's kind of shitty, but I think it's important. But not now. Also, I always say, like, if the reason you are getting into YouTube is because you want to make money from it, you're probably not going to succeed, because most people have to grind this shit out for years before they actually start making money. Again, you could just be brilliant and make amazing videos that instantly go viral and then you're good. But that's unlikely. So I think the reason that you're doing it should be because you want to make content, because you like making content, you think you have something to say, you want to contribute to the conversation, you want to entertain people. If that's what you want, then you're good. Do that for a couple years. Once you start to build an audience, then you can start figuring out how to actually grow the channel. And that's just going to depend on what kind of videos you're making. I would say look around, look at other people who are in a similar genre as you and see what they're doing. As we were talking about before, learn how to make interesting thumbnails, learn how to make interesting titles, clickbait as much as you're comfortable doing. Those are kind of like those are kind of like how you grow, like the very basic nature. There's a lot more you can discuss about it, but those are like the basic things. Make good content consistently. Pick up on sort of the trends of your genre, do what people are doing because that's what people like, and then clickbait. I mean, as long as you're willing to grind it out for a few years, then you're fine. Like some people were like, oh shit, I'm broke, I need a job. Let me try YouTube. To me, that's like, oh, I need money right now, so I'm going to try YouTube right now. That's not going to work for most people. But as long as you're willing to play the YouTube game, you can probably succeed. Assuming you are willing, assuming your content's good, which I feel like if you work long enough at anything, you'll get good at it. So. Do I make a livable wage on YouTube? I mean, yeah. But I'm hoping to increase my resources so that I can do more. I make a livable wage for a single man in Alabama, which is a low cost of living state with no kids or dependents. Put it that way. If I want to change things, like for example, if I want to live in a more expensive place, I would need more money. If I want to have kids, I would need more money. But there's other things I want to do. I want to expand the business. I want to eventually like hire people to help out with certain things. So, but yeah, starting out, the number one thing is just make content, get used to making content, make a lot of content, and just practice the craft and get good at it. So I think that's the first step. And get a decent microphone. And there's all kinds of, you can learn everything you need to know about videography and editing from YouTube. Literally just YouTube, how to get started with editing. And you're also going to have to get editing software, which is not cheap. You could probably find ways to get it cheap if you are clever, but I'm not going to talk about that. Throbbing Hood, thank you for checking out the stream. Yeah, well, I would say enable AdSense as soon as you can. There's no reason not to. But I would say don't. I would argue against getting like a Patreon or anything that requires people to give you money at first, because I personally believe that you have to deliver value before you start requesting money from people. Now, if you believe that you are delivering value, then you can go for it. But the reason that people support, others on Patreon is because they believe that the value that they get from those videos is worth the money that they're giving. Sometimes people might support you just to support you, just to be nice, or just because they like you as a person. But most people support you because they value your content. So you need to deliver that value first before you start like asking for money. In fact, it is a huge turnoff to a lot of people when you start asking for money, but you don't deliver value. They're like, why the fuck would I give you money? And some people still probably think that about me. It's like, why would I give you money? Your content is not worth that much. But fortunately, enough people do find value in it. So, thanks, Julia. I appreciate you coming to the stream. Oh yeah, DaVinci Resolve is free. I forgot about that. Okay, you already have Premiere. Well, you're good then. Premiere is like the industry standard. I don't even use Premiere. I use Vegas Pro. OBS is free, but you can't really edit on OBS, I don't think, right? Kden Live is good free open source video editing software. I've never used that one. I have to check it out. Yeah, like AdSense is passive, so there's no reason not to enable it as soon as you get it. Like I remember when I got my first AdSense check, it was awesome. It's like, oh shit, that $100 that I made from YouTube. But back in the day, when I started, they didn't have all the restrictions where you have to have, I think you have to have, what, 1,000 subscribers now? And a certain amount of watch time. Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of the editing software has like a monthly thing that you can do, like a subscription. So like if you know you're pretty much going to be using it for years, it can be a good deal. But, you know, but I fully support anyone that wants to make content as long as you're realistic about it. Like everyone should be making stuff. I think it doesn't have to be YouTube videos, but I think everyone should be making something. All right, Shasta, thanks for coming to the stream. Thank you for that super chat earlier. The channel I do editing for just got to 1,000 subscribers and got monetized almost a month ago. Dope. Well, see, the fact that you already have experience with editing is a huge leg up. I think that will do a lot to make your videos good quickly. Because, you know, a lot of times when people say they're first starting, it's like, so you're just new to everything? Because editing kind of takes a while to actually get used to. In fact, I don't even think I'm very good at editing. I know enough to get by. I like these streams a lot. They're more calm than Destiny's and Bausch streams. Yeah, yeah, I always say like I don't have the energy to like be yelling and being all excited and stuff. Like sometimes I've never watched Bausch, but I've watched a lot of Destiny. And sometimes I enjoy it, but sometimes it's like, man, just calm down, dude. Maybe that's just me getting old though. But yeah, I'm just a naturally sort of calm and chill guy. And honestly, like I feel like I'm talking a lot right now. And I feel like I'm more like enthusiastic than normal right now because we're talking about YouTube and that's just like my favorite thing to talk about. But people are still like, oh man, you're so chill. Like I'm just my normal state is like super chill, and then when I turn up, I'm just like I go from like a 1 to a 1.5. And my hope is that, you know, people are interested in a chill stream, and I know there are popular streamers on Twitch who are kind of chill, but you know I get that compliment a lot. It's like, oh, I enjoy this. This is a chill stream, and so I'm glad that it's a thing that some people are into. You just made me laugh out loud saying you feel like you're talking a lot. Yeah, my perception of my own, you know, behavior is kind of off, I guess. All right, Crazy Jerry Mouse, thanks for checking out the stream. All right, Sean. Yeah, I'm probably going to be going here soon. I'll give it about 10 more minutes. So I think we'll start winding down the stream. I think this has been one of the livelier streams lately. I like that. You play D&D? I thought I saw a video of you painting minis. I do play D&D and I do paint minis. That's another activity that I will do on the stream from time to time because I have to paint a lot of minis, so I might as well stream it. Damn, I just got here. Yeah, unfortunately, it's about time for me to skedaddle. That's that's got to be true of all of us to some degree, the misreading ourselves. Yeah. He said he laughed out loud. Do you DM or just play? I mostly DM right now. Right now, only DM. I have played a couple times, but currently I'm only DMing. What's one thing that you don't understand about younger people? I really don't get how to use Discord. I mean, I have a Discord server, which you all should join, theonejanitor.com/Discord, but I barely know how to use it. I kind of learned the basics of it, but it routinely confuses me. But I think I know the basics. Like I know how to make channels, and I know how to write messages. But I still have a lot to learn. I will say I just made a TikTok account the other day, and I just have no idea what the hell's going on there. It could be just because it's new to me, but also it's like I don't know what's going on. What are these people? What are they talking about? What are these hashtags? It's been a while since I've gotten on Snapchat. Snapchat, like, I never really found it that enjoyable. I don't know. See, I got a new patron during the stream, but I don't have a way of like being notified besides looking at my phone. I gotta find a way to pop it up on the stream. Although it's possible that that person was not watching the stream. My 17-year-old is on TikTok and I don't get it at all. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I back content. Like, I'm okay with content creation. So I don't hate it. Like some people just talk shit about TikTok. I just truly don't understand it. And I'd like to understand it. The titles and hashtags usually don't have anything to do with the video. But I don't know. There's a level where, you know, as a content creator, I feel like I should jump on certain trends. Like maybe I should be on TikTok because TikTok is big right now. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what kind of content to make. Does it even fit my brand? Like, for example, Hank Green, who I really like. Hank Green has a pretty popular TikTok. So it's like, well, Hank Green is very similar. He's doing very similarly to the thing that I sort of envision myself doing at his level. So maybe I should be doing something like that. But I just don't understand what I'm supposed to make. I can't really make the type of stuff that he makes. So I don't know. But like, for example, one thing I am going to start doing is I'm going to start using Instagram a lot more. I have an Instagram, which you guys can follow at the One Janitor. But really, my Instagram is 90% just selfies of me, which if you like my face, that's a cool thing. You can just look at my face. But I'm going to start putting snippets of my videos on Instagram. I feel like there's no reason for me not to put my videos on Instagram because Instagram lets you put videos up. So why not do it? Yeah, no, I love the Green brothers. I mean, Hank Green specifically is like my number one sort of like role model, I guess. What he does for a living is the closest thing to what I envision myself doing for a living. Just kind of owning companies and making a bunch of content, basically. I don't know if I'm gonna write a book like he did, but Hank Green is my role model, my YouTube role model. But both of them, just in general, in terms of like just being good people with good ideas that are thoughtful and kind and responsible. I think in general both of them are just very good for that. And like earlier someone asked me what my favorite YouTube channels are, and I literally said my number one is the Vlog Brothers. They do a lot of stuff, so it's hard for me to even recommend where to find them, but probably just start on Vlogbrothers. That's the channel where everything started. It's like these two older guys. They're both in their 40s, I think, but they're kind of OG YouTubers. And they're just genuinely good guys. But yeah, they have all kinds of fucking channels. Like, they are very prolific. They're both authors. Like Crash Course, they made that. SciShow, they invented VidCon. That was their idea. And then just a bunch of shit. I'm pretty sure they're both in their 40s. I'm pretty sure Hank Green just turned 40. Yeah. Hank Green is 40 years old, May 5th, 1980, according to Wikipedia, and John Green is older, so. Yeah, they invented VidCon, the Green Bros. Like, they've done so much shit on YouTube and just the internet as a whole. SciShow, Crash Course, The Art Assignment. There's like 4 different SciShow channels. Healthcare Triage. Yeah. Yeah, they like Hank's birthday was in May, so I remember a video they made where they mentioned that he was turning 40. Yeah, John Green's wife is the host of Art Assignment, but I'm pretty sure that the idea of making the channel was sort of all of theirs collectively. They're just kind of over a lot of that stuff, yeah. Yeah, there's a microbiology one. But yeah, that's kind of what I want. I just want to make a bunch of cool content for the internet. That's kind of what I want to do. I don't know if I'm not specifically the same genre, but like the same idea of I have some ideas that I want to share with the world, or I want to enable other people to share their ideas with the world. That's the kind of those are sort of the things that I'm thinking about. That's why I want to grow this whole thing. And I'm on the path. I still have a long way to go before I can do anything like what they're doing, but I love Natalie's channel, but I wish she released more content. Law, I know it takes her a lot of time with what she does, though. Yeah, I mean, at this point, she's doing a feature film every month. Like, it's a bit wild. Well, honestly, like her last few videos, I think have been more than a month apart, right? I think the thing though is like, I mean, I've never talked to Natalie about it, but I wonder what her sort of mindset is, because she certainly doesn't have to release more content. But I mean, this is an example of like, she could build an empire if she wanted to. If she hired a few people, made some more content, made some extra channels, she could be like a fucking multimillionaire probably. But I don't know if she wants to. Like, she is perfectly fine where she is right now. Like, she could do what she's doing right now for the rest of her life and be straight. or at least until she wanted to retire or whatever. So, and that's perfectly fine. But that's kind of like, that's not my ambition. I want to grow and I want to build more stuff and I want to enable other people and I want to release as much cool shit onto the internet and world as possible. And like, not only just cool shit, but like helpful shit that makes people's lives better and makes the world better. So, you know, everybody's got different ideas about what they want to do. Yeah, I mean, I only have like sort of vague ideas. I'm not really sure. I want to do more. I want to do like some kind of narrative content, like maybe a web series. I don't know if I ever want to make like a movie or something. That seems like a bit much, but I don't have a lot of very specific ideas. I know that I do want to help other people with their own ideas. Like for example, my brother is a music producer, and he has sort of a passion for teaching people how to do what he does. And he's tried it a little bit, but that's one thing. It's like, well, maybe we can find a way to get you started on this kind of, maybe a YouTube channel that just teaches you how to do music production. And that exists already, of course, but I think that we can find a way to make it unique. So that's just an example. She seems to have an artist approach with her work. Yeah, and to some extent I do too. Like I talk about all this, but I really have no idea how to run a business. Like I'm going to need some help with that for sure. Like what I'm more concerned about is making the stuff, but obviously there's more to it than just making stuff. There's business and contracts and employees and all that shit. I have to figure all that stuff out. I think that was sort of that. I think that was Hank Green's advantage. Is I think he already was business minded. I have started a few businesses. Let me know if you want help. I mean, I would need help, but I don't know. I guess you can email me about it if you want, but I honestly don't really even know where to start. But I need to, well, I mean, it's something I can start thinking about. Oh, everyone's offering business help now. Well, I'm starting. I think right now, like in this very moment, what I'm focusing on is just putting out more content myself. Because I just want to, because, you know, I was putting out one video a month, but sort of like what I was saying with ContraPoints. I mean, I wasn't anywhere near the level of ContraPoints, but I basically got to a point where I could do that for the rest of my life if I wanted to. I can put out one video a month. Every once in a while, one of them might blow up or something. I make enough money for myself and just do that. But I'm trying to expand. I want to increase my exposure. I want, you know, more views, more money, build more, help other people out. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. I'm working on increasing my amount of resources, basically. And as far as I know, the best way that I can do that is just by making more content and finding ways to get that content out to more people. Maybe there's more business-minded things that I could do to affect that. So that's why I was saying maybe it's something that I could be thinking about right now. But I mean, if anybody wants to email me about that kind of thing, feel free. I don't really know where to begin with it. I don't even know what to ask. But maybe I can just save the content. I mean, save the contact. Yeah, I don't know how to get Reddit going. I have a subreddit. In fact, I have two subreddits. I just one of them I just made and haven't promoted, but I don't really know how to get. It seems like people just like to meme on Reddit, and My audience is not very memey, so I don't know how to get that started. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put short videos on Instagram. That's what I know how to do, is make content and put it on the internet. I know how to do that much. I don't know if that's enough in and of itself, but I do know that I can do that, so I'm going to just do that. And that's one of the reasons why I downloaded TikTok, is like, maybe I can find a way to put some content on here. But it seems like just a different culture over there that I don't really understand. I really feel like coming in the bread tube. When I did, I got to see a lot of people grow and change, and was lucky for that. But I've taken a break from most of them over the past year. I kind of feel the same way too. I don't watch a lot of the political stuff right now. I still watch ContraPoints. I think ContraPoints is like brilliant, so I will always watch every ContraPoints video. I watch most of Lindsay Ellis's videos, but a lot of the other people I don't really keep up with that much. By the way, the new logo is nice. I appreciate that. Honestly, that's a little part to the move that I'm making. I wanted a more just good looking logo. I wanted better branding. I think that branding is important, or at least I understand that branding is important. So should have a good logo. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to end the stream. I haven't thought about Nietzsche since college. I probably don't even remember enough about what he said. But save that question for next stream, and we can talk about it. But yeah, I'm about to go. Nice, very enjoyable stream to me. I enjoyed it. Very, very lively. A lot of cool conversations. I stream every Monday and Friday. I don't really have a specific time, but I'm just gonna be there at some point. The easiest way to figure that out, or to know when I'm streaming, is to just click the notification bell on my channel, and it will notify you. Also, there's a bunch of links in the description of the video. Just check that out. A lot of ways that you can contact me, talk to me, support me, that kind of thing. And if you want to watch a replay of this stream, there's a link in the description to a playlist of this and past streams. You can go watch them. Yeah, sorry for the people that just got here. I've been streaming for about 4 hours, and we are about to end this. And it also is pretty late. It's 11 p.m. here. And actually, speaking of D&D, I have to like do some prep for my game, which is tomorrow. I'm mostly prepared, but there's a few things that I need to look over. But yeah, anybody that wants to like chat with me or ask me questions more in depth, feel free to email me, hello@theonejanitor.com. You can join the Discord, theonejanitor.com/Discord. The Discord is cool because it's a conversation like this, except more people, longer takes. You know, there's no character limit, and you can talk about a variety of topics. Everything's organized. You can also ask short questions on my Curious Cat if you just want like very specific answers to one specific question. I'm always on Curious Cat, so it's curiouscat.me/theonejanitor. So there are many ways to talk to me on the internet if you would like to. I think that I am very accessible if you just know where to look, which is ironically not social media. I tweet, but I don't really read my Twitter that much. So you would think that Twitter would be a good place, but it really isn't. Yeah. All right. Thank you all. I will see you on Monday, I believe. What's Monday? Monday is the 27th. Yeah, I don't think I have anything going on. So I will see you on Monday. Okay. Bye.